Greetings! Welcome to the ASTROLABE. We've got Oinks in the chat. Oinks in the chat in honor of Pig Dirk. We may get a beast appearance tonight. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It is a tonight because holy crap. It is a full-time job just keeping track of everything that's happening right now. Like, there are, I don't know, a dozen stories a day that are dropping that would normally have taken maybe a day of research to go try to figure out what the story is. Figure out if this is just noise, if there's some signal there. So I used to, I'd get one or two of these a day and just kind of keep the content stack high. And holy crap, I can't even keep up with everything now. It is a full-time job just trying to keep up with everything, not to mention turning it into a show, like trying to make a coherent narrative out of it. I'm getting close to just being like, all right, we're just going to just scroll the timeline. We're just going to scroll the timeline and see what we come by. Just see what stories pop up. Because they just keep happening. At this point, I'm almost getting a little concerned that we're going to reach a point where we get story fatigue. Where we just stop caring about it. It just doesn't matter. We're just winning all the time. Imagine how awful that would be. Imagine how awful it would be to just wake up every single morning and, oh yeah, we're winning today. The wins don't even hit you anymore. It's just like, well, yeah, of course we're winning. Could you imagine living in a time when we weren't winning? Perish the thought. No such day will ever happen again. We expect the wins. Mr. President, you have not delivered a win today. You must give us one. Obviously, I'm not speaking about today. There's been so many wins today. I'm saying this hypothetical, horrifying, apocalyptic future where we don't even appreciate the wins anymore. Winter is coming. That is Volp's persona. That is fantastic. Winter is coming. There are so many memes just waiting to be made from that. Yes, that's right. We cannot take the wins for granted. We must enjoy this time. We must appreciate this time. We must appreciate how good we have it. Recognize the upward trajectory. We are always up and to the right, no matter what. That actually reminds me of something, and I came really close to doing a terrible, terrible thing. I came really close to forgetting to mention to you guys that one of the best things about a Monday is that it means you get a message from the cyberbully. It's a Monday, and there's a cyberbully message, and it has a shout out to yours truly. Can life get any better? I submit that it cannot.
What's up? It's the cyberbully on a Monday. And what are Mondays good for besides starting things? Starting something new. Starting something back up again that you started in 2024. Dusting that thing off, looking at it with fresh eyes. You know what I'm talking about. At any rate, there is no better time than now to put your hand to the plow. I know that's an evergreen statement, but especially now. This truly is a unique time. Opportunity as far as the eye can see. Anyway, I thought, why not let someone else do the yapping for a change? I like to keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on inside the ice wall and what the best and brightest minds are saying. One such program is the King Pilled podcast. I've put together a little excerpt to get your mind on the right wavelength, to get you motivated, to get you focused. So without further ado, King Pilled, take it away.
Did I mention trust the plan? Now, obviously, when I say trust the plan, that doesn't mean sit back with your thumb up your ass and expect someone to save you. Expect someone else to fix all of the problems. It's the exact opposite. There's never, ever, ever going to be a better time in American history to build an American business, to build anything American. If there's one thing that's abundantly evident about every single thing coming out of the incoming Trump administration, it's that building things in the United States is going to get way, way easier, which is a very, very good thing, because the downstream effects of a actively creative, building, productive, prosperous, growing economy, it's gonna trickle down and benefit everyone else, but only the people who actually position themselves to benefit from it. If your approach to politics is, I sit in my armchair and tweet about things and yell at the people who don't do what I want them to do, well, you're probably not really going to benefit. Honestly, you're probably going to benefit just by default. You won't really deserve it, but you will benefit from it anyways because of the rising tide. But there is going to be an all-out assault on your spirit to try to drag you down, to demoralize you, to paralyze you, to ensure that you don't contribute to the re-civilization of America. Because that's the last desperate hope. The last desperate hope is to strangle the vibe shift in its crib by demoralizing the chuds. So don't be demoralized. Just simply refuse. None of the enemies that you have are better than you. None of them are going to outsmart you. They're not going to outwork you. They're not going to out-willpower you. They don't matter. They exist to make you better. I am extremely honored to get a shout out from the cyberbully. I did not know that was coming. I am telling you with 100% honesty, I didn't know that was coming. This cyberbully character is quite a fellow. You guys should pay attention whenever he says something. A super chat from the Lion, getting those stacking up those Eagle bucks, 5 of them. It says waking up and winning every day is what our enemies felt up until now, and they didn't appreciate it. That's why they lost it. They didn't appreciate how good they had it. They were always unhappy. They were always blackpilling. Everything was just going to get worse and worse. You have to fight every enemy around every corner. Root them all out. And that mentality cost them dearly. That is why we are winning. All right. Let's get into Alexander August says you need to read the latest smug editing thread. I just happened to bring it up. I just happened to, right when the intro was playing, I was looking at Twitter and I was like, yes. And I slid it right over. I speed read through it and slid it right over. And we are going to get into that. Sovereign Wealth Fund. I saw someone mention it down here. FB Informant says, don't let the EO on establishing a U.S. sovereign wealth fund slip through the cracks. That one, I'm not going to get into it today because I need to, it's starting to get into subjects that are too much for my little brain to handle. So I don't follow them as intuitively. So I have to really sit and think about them. But I've been tracking a whole bunch of things related to this. I haven't really been talking publicly about the stuff that I'm digging into privately. There's a lag here. I spend time digging into one thing privately, or a number of things privately, and then I have the other things I'm talking about publicly. And then as soon as I figure out that the thing that I'm digging into has a there, and I figure out which there is there, then I pull it up into the talking about publicly stack. So I've been digging into a lot of things related to that are tangentially associated with the sovereign wealth fund. Basically, all of the monetary warfare that's happening, fiscal warfare that's happening right now, because that is the real big thing that's changing. And I'm not saying that to diminish the wins, like the DOGE effort and Trump abolishing the Department of Education and purging the FBI of all regime loyalists. Like, all of these things are absolutely massive, gigantic wins. And I'm not diminishing them at all. I'm saying that's just how significant what's coming down the economic pipeline is. The economic, fiscal, monetary pipeline is, both literally and physically, or literally and metaphorically, is That's going to be the nuke of all of this. So you guys think it's good. You have no idea just how good it's going to be. It's going to be rough, but it's going to be better than you can imagine. Another $5 super chat here from Don Zalug. Says ALP equals ASTROLABE pouches. I like that. I like that. I need to figure out if I can use that without getting sued. I like that. Speaking of, can't get started until we got the lip pillow. Ryan Isaac says, just catching up with the white pill due to the news drop is a real possibility. Basically, the inverse action leading to similar outcomes, complacency. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. This is the greatest utility of all of the white pills dropping right now is that all those things that have been bludgeoning you into depression and the sense of foreboding and the sapping your vril, killing your willpower. So many of those things are going away. Now you can keep them constructed there in your mind. So they may be gone. They may be eliminated. The actual barriers, the actual hurdles are gone. But you still believe that they're there, so you still have them constructed in your mind. So they're functioning even in their absence. It's like the greatest cell phone imaginable. So, yes, complacency this is why the black pilling is so just must be abhorred no matter what. That doesn't mean you can't be critical. That doesn't mean you can't talk about downsides. But the conversation, the critiques and the conversations about the downside can't be cast in this super melodramatic, light, where these things are destined to happen. If you're going to believe that something is destined to happen, believe that a good thing is going to be destined to happen. Because the only way the bad thing is destined to happen is if you manifest it with your own freaking head. This is the crazy thing about destiny, is it's not something that you can't materialize it. It doesn't have like laws. Because we human beings are creators. We create reality with our minds. Everything starts up here. This is how we exist in the image of Christ. So what you focus your mind on, what you choose to manifest, is the thing that you believe is possible. So when you cast everything in this demoralizing, all-encompassing inevitability of evil frame, it's actually just like taking the easy way out. It's really easy to do that. And it always has been. Every single generation has been filled with people who find it very, very easy to get fatalist about everything. This isn't like a cyclical thing. We think it's really bad now because we live now. But every generation thought that it was like the worst thing about their generation. Nihilism, pessimism. This is the continual evil. So blackpilling is giving into that. You can read someone when they come in. When I see someone come into the chat and start talking, if I'm in this chat or another chat, I can pick up very, very quickly their vibe. You can feel their vibe immediately. And so when they try to do the like Mott and Bailey thing where they'll fall back to the like, oh, you just call all criticism blackpilling. This is weak, soft-minded shit. You can tell it's someone who's grappling with a lot of demons in their own life. And instead of grappling with them, they're just kind of allowing themselves to be mouthpieces for it and trying to get everyone else to grapple with their demons. Nah, bro, we've got our own. We've got our own demons to grapple with. We don't need yours. Go deal with yours. Don't come like projecting them at us. Black pillars are just like spiritual libertarians. They're just like, like the actual like substance of anything you're saying is kind of irrelevant because you just have this aura of just, I don't know, blackness. Just desperate, whiny, pathetic. It's kind of like the person that if you were on a road trip, if you started out on a road trip with them and they started talking, and you're like, I'm gonna have to sit in a car with this motherfucker for the next 5 hours. Like that's the vibe that they put off. Nah, man. This is the time for building. We don't have time for all this stuff. Speaking of, I don't completely understand all the context of what is going on in this tweet here. This guy, Finance Lancelot, has been making all kinds of predictions, and I'm just kind of following him and trying to figure out what his vibe is. But he posted this video as he's patting himself on the back for being right, which I can appreciate. And he posted this video, which is just an absolute banger. So we're just going to play it for that reason. Armchair Contrarian says 2015 vibes. Exactly. I've listened to that song so many times. It's like the best. Even just to this afternoon when I pulled it up, I was like, oh yeah, we're putting that one in the stack. I sat here and just hit repeat on it probably 5 times. Now just sitting here like reading stuff, just jamming to it. So that was going back to 2015. Real ones will know this one, going back to 2020.
So you wanna live long, so you wanna be free. Baby, running out of town, that's a really bad beat. On me, she wanna play hard to get this far by me. But I never wait long, I move on to what I need. I get my way, get out my way. Switch my place, I'm on my way. No mistakes, I know the stakes, yeah. I don't show face, I keep my pace, yeah. I don't show face, I keep my... Go cry while I'm down on my knee. That's me, I don't talk down, I just move how I need. Oh, late, hit her one time, now she going both ways. She knows in control, all that bullshit gets over you. I get my way, get out my way. Switch my place, I'm on my...
Oh, I knew that Jason was going to have something to say, and I was just waiting to see what it was going to be. Oh, man. I go down some really weird rabbit holes, and this is just like it's like a moment captured in time, because when this one was going viral, this was in, I think it was in 2020. Because I remember watching this like when there was lockdowns and everything, and people's brains were starting to break on social media. And there was like when people's brains start breaking, they kind of go in, they'll go in different directions. But it also is like the time when you'll get some of the most creativity, where people will create those things that are just absolute. It's like a digital earworm. Because you get like a song stuck in your head, and this is pretty normal. We're pretty familiar with that. But then there's like memes that will just get stuck in your head. You'll just be, for whatever reason, it just gets like someone created a thing that just gets stuck in there, and you're like, what's going on? And then people start talking to each other about this meme that's just stuck in my head. And it's been I don't even know how to say this. I watched this whole little subculture around this meme that just emerged, and it just it touched them in some kind of a way. And they got really like weird about it. And it was fascinating to see the way that these ideas get embedded in someone's mind. They get down in there, and then they begin kind of wielding the person. And I think this is one of my favorite things about social media is sitting and watching these kinds of things happen. You can legitimately, by just sitting and just watching these different emergent memes all the time, you're basically getting like a doctoral degree in sociology, which connects in with anthropology and then epistemology. All of these things all start kind of blending together, and in this way, social media and technology are like mirrors. They mirror the human species back to itself. And I'm not saying like on an individual level, I'm saying on a collective level. The way that the human species understands itself is through the creation of and interfacing with technology. It's technology in that sense is apocalyptic by definition. It reveals. Okay, so let's get a recap of how the last few days have gone.
Good afternoon. After very strongly renaming the Gulf of Mexico as Gulf of America, we will be making further changes effective immediately. Europe will now be known as America Plaza East. The Panama Canal will be known as Trump America Canal of Trump. And of course, Turkey will now be known as Chicken.
Why are you renaming Turkey in particular?
Why are we doing it? Because we can. What are they going to do about it? Does Turkey want a beef over being called chicken? We'll call them beef. What else? Oh, also we're going to name Hungary Thirsty. But don't worry, the Prime Minister there will do whatever I tell him.
What is behind this policy of changing everyone's name?
Because America will no longer allow people to tell us what to call them. It's like the pronouns. It's over. So what's that? Zelensky's on line 3? Put him on speaker. What else do you want? We're cutting off the aid to meet... Mr. Trump, we demand that you call our country Trump Crane. Trump Crane? Boy, I always thought of it more of a me crane than a Ukraine, but tell me more. Greater Trump Crane. Greatest Trump Crane. Deal, and we will also rename Donbass Donald Bass and retake from Russia. Deal, I love it. Sally, tell Pete Hegseth to give these Trump Cranians whatever they want.
We'll call him beef. So we've got some jokesters in the administration. This one is a couple days old, but I was going through the bookmarks, and this is the website for the office of Kamala D. Harris. And I saw this going around, and I didn't know if it was real. And I've seen enough people now, including Trump Jr. himself, saying this is real. This page is unburdened by what has been. Imagine being Kamala Harris, or like a staffer on Kamala Harris's team. Some jumpy chick on SSRIs, and you used to go to the boss's website every single day and just look at it, and then the orange Cheeto monster takes over the government, and the literal Stasi is hunting down all of your friends, and you load up Queen Mamala's website, and it says, this page is unburdened by what has been. No, they got to it. Even Mommy Kamala's website. And they didn't just take it down. They rubbed it in my face. Sorry, sweetheart. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Breaking, the Pentagon has announced that it is restructuring its press access, removing some major legacy media outlets, NBC, the New York Times, NPR, and Politico from their current positions and will be replacing them with the New York Post, Breitbart, OANN, and HuffPost. Pete Hegseth got confirmed, and immediately the Pentagon replaced the New York Times with Breitbart. I've got a cold coming on. My throat's getting real scratchy, so I'm going to try to make it through here. But there's been sore throats and stuff that have been going through the house for the last week or so, and I think it's getting to me. But I'm gonna press through as long as I can. I might lose my voice by the end of the show. The New York Times was replaced by Breitbart. I'm imagining what 2022 me would have thought of this. If I would have said, hey, in 2 years, Trump's going to get reelected. He's going to appoint to Secretary of Defense a guy with a Jerusalem cross and a Deus Vult tattoo. And one of that guy's first actions after getting confirmed, he's going to get confirmed, and one of his first actions is to replace the New York Times press access at the Pentagon with Breitbart. Like, this isn't just, hey, we're going to give some alternative media outlets a try. This is like thumb straight in the eye, just right in there. The New York Times staff have to be just absolutely seething. I can't even imagine the sheer level of pants shitting that is happening over this. These people are having every single thing that they thought was good, true, and normal about the world absolutely destroyed. Just throttled. Unceremoniously taken out back and shot in the back of the head. Their entire worldview is getting crumpled up and pissed on. This has got to be the most brain-breaking experience for some of them. And yet it's also like nothing's happening to them. The loyal New York Times reader, in their day-to-day life, everything's getting better. No one's coming for them. No one's trying to hurt them. Everyone's getting happy and excited, and lots of stuff's being built. Everything's crazy. The vibe's wild. And their brains are just absolutely splintering. Anybody, like, I feel bad for how much I underestimated the administration. And at the time, I was feeling the heat of being like, I'm in the smaller group of people who's overestimating them. So from the moment of the election, or sorry, from the end of the post-election period to inauguration, a switch flipped, and suddenly I've gone from being like, I'm too conservative about what I think they're going to do. How do I recalibrate? How do I figure out, like, what's the band of reasonableness here? Where it's like, no, that's completely beyond the pale. We were having a conversation about this during the Schizo stream on Friday night. And we were talking about, like, where's the line? Like, how far are they going to go with this? And I was like, a couple weeks ago, I would have said, yeah, there's no way. Like, there's no way that they're going to perp walk Obama. Now? I mean, I don't know. Like, the conversation for me has changed from do you think they'll perp walk Obama to would it be a good idea or would it be useful to perp walk Obama? Or are there other people that it would be better? But, like, the perp walks are coming. It seems incredibly evident that the perp walks are coming. This is the most radical regime administration takeover in the West in anybody's lifetime. It is unprecedented, which means there is no precedent for everything that they do. Literally anything is on the table. Now, I'm not saying those things are all going to happen, but I'm saying until something happens one way or the other, we have no way of determining when they're expanding into a new space and nobody knows where the limits are on that space. So they're going to expand until they hit the limits. And the question is, are those limits going to be self-imposed or are they going to be imposed by the outside world? Is there a strategic approach here where we just go until there's pushback of like a particular kind? We go until it becomes evident we can't go any further. And we just let the outside determine where that is. I don't think that they're coming in here necessarily with a complete like a plan to do this, then 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 this, beyond maybe the first 2 weeks. It was kind of like some of the best offensive coordinators in the NFL will have like it's actually not even just some of the best. It started off as some of the best, and then it's gotten better. Lots of coordinators have started doing this. They have their first like 10 to 15 plays are pre-scripted. So we're going to do this play, then 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 this play. And there's some game state adjustments for it, but like they're going to run those plays no matter what. That's the plan. And then they're going to see how the defense reacts to them. And once they get through that initial script of plays, then it's up to the offensive coordinator and or the quarterback if he's good enough to start modifying and adjusting based on what the defense is showing them. So they will run plays knowing the play is going to be unsuccessful, but so they can see how the defense reacts. How does the defense position and try to counter them, which will tell them something about what the defense's principles are. How have they been coached to defend this particular formation? Like when they see the wide receiver go into motion, how do they adjust? Does it give some sort of clue as to what they're playing? And then if you run this play and then do this, and then you run this play and then do this, and then run this play and then do this, then you run the play and you do something different. And there's some plays they have called constraint plays, where you literally just run that play just so the other team sees that you will actually do that. So it's not going to be the same play fake every single time. So you run a constraint play where the only reason we're going to run this play, it doesn't matter whether it's successful or not. We need the defensive coordinator and the green dot on the other team to know that we will actually do this. It's not going to be play action every single time. Sometimes we'll hand the ball off. And it doesn't matter if we lose yards. I mean, you don't want to lose yards, but it doesn't matter if we do, because now the other side knows they have to defend both the fake and the actual handoff. And I think this is what the administration is doing. I think they have an initial script. And based on the relative success of each of these moving parts, they're going to start dialing up the pressure here or dialing it back here. No longer can we look at the presidential administration or the political movers and shakers and assume that they're going to do the politic thing. These aren't politicians acting anymore. Until we start getting a clear indication of, okay, here's where they turn politician. Here's where they go from like insurgent coup artists to entrenched territory protecting politician. That'll start giving us a clue about where the line is. Now, when that starts happening, lots of people are going to start it's all over posting. And it's like, I don't even know. I can't understand how someone could possibly get in that frame of mind where I'd even have to say something about it. But there'll be like something here or there. It's inevitably going to happen. Some little thing here or there is going to happen. And then all the usual characters are going to say, oh, see, this is what it was. They were just setting us up for that bad thing. They got you all bought in, and look at you. Yeah, we're bought in. You realize what we're getting in return for being bought in? You're retarded if you're not bought in. More winning. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has declared that effective immediately, Department of Defense components and departments will not use official sources for any identity months. This includes Black History, Women's History Months. Quote, installations, units, and offices are encouraged to celebrate the valor and success of military heroes of all races, genders, and backgrounds as we restore our warrior culture and ethos. Plan trusted. And yes, obviously, a future Department of Defense official can reverse this. But you know why that's not going to happen? Because they're never going to win again. So lots of hullabaloo about USAID. If you listen to Mike Benz, you don't even have to listen to him regularly. If you just listen to him on Joe Rogan, then you've known the deal with USAID, one of the most cleverly, subversively named organizations out there. It's named USAID. Oh, it's USAID. Aw, it's for like puppy dogs and hungry kids and stuff. It's just aid. But that's, hold on, let me get the, I don't want to say the wrong thing here. United States Agency for International Development. United States Agency for International Development. Once you know how this little part of the world works, the way that these NGOs function, and the euphemisms that they use, you wouldn't even need to know anything about USAID to know except when it was formed and what its name is. United States Agency for International Development. It's a cutout for the CIA. And they are nuking it from orbit. There's no way that you go after USAID simply on grounds that, oh, it's very wasteful. It's not an efficient program. You go out, you start carpet bombing USAID, because you know exactly what they're up to. This is a military move. This is not just like, oh, we need to make the government run more efficiently and you guys are really inefficient over here. No, they're going straight for USAID because they know exactly how this NGO network functions. They know exactly what the regime is and how it works. And they're going at the heart of its funding mechanism. Because if you take away the money, everything else is fucked. We'll get more into that in a little bit. Here's an example from Caroline Levitt of the top 4 most insane priorities. And I don't even know how they picked these because these aren't even that insane.
And here's the reason why.
I mean, let me say that again. These are insane. But they're not like, they're actually a little more normal. Like kind of, oh yeah, I'd expect that they're doing that. There's some other things that are just even more insane.
Elon Musk and others have been taking a look. Because if you look at the waste and abuse that has run through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government. Thank you, guys.
Robbie Starbucks says, I can't possibly explain the scale at which the Democrats use our taxpayer dollars to enrich their friends, who then donated to them. But let me highlight 3 USAID expenses. $520 million was spent on ESG consultants. $1.2 billion given to undisclosed recipients. $375 million in DEI grants. Do you think there's even one right-wing ESG or DEI firm getting contracts? Well, no, Robbie, because there would be no such thing as a right-wing ESG or DEI firm. No, all the agencies and government sent billions to their friends at ESG and DEI firms. These people then turn around and donate to the Democrats who help them get their funding, or they fund more extreme left-wing activist orgs The Dems don't want to get caught directly funding. What would you call this except for money laundering? To me, it looks like the largest money laundering scheme in history. Now that it's being investigated and shut down, they're literally outside of the buildings protesting Trump and Elon Musk saving billions for taxpayers. Also, they will find out who the undisclosed recipients are who got $1.2 billion. So, of course, they do the only thing they know how to do. They just run the playbook. Get a bunch of people and have them go protest. Like anyone believes any of these people give one half of one shit about USAID. Every single one of these people is being paid to be here or is literally an employee of an NGO. This is all the only response they can muster. The Democrat politicians are going to go out and talk about, oh, this is... Nobody's paying any attention to them. I don't think I even have I might have a quote from someone at some point in here, but nobody even cares. They're just out there with their bullhorns. Oh! They look like Republicans in like 2011. So USAID and Fauci funded COVID-19's patient zero at the Wuhan lab. Chief Nerd says, let me get this straight. Fauci's NIAID and USAID sent over $40 million in U.S. taxpayer support to a scientist in Wuhan who was working on bat coronavirus emergence research, who also became patient zero for COVID-19. And the completion date for that funding was in 2019. Here's the document. Wow. What a curious sequence of events. If you're thinking about perp walks, it seems to me that there is the only possible way that Fauci does not get perp walked is if it does not exist to perp walk. I don't really see how they get away from this. It is so over the top, abundantly, transparently, one of the most evil narratives that you could put together from a sequence of events over the last couple decades. This organization, USAID, literally funded the gain of function research. They funded a bioweapon, and the guy they were funding was patient zero for that bioweapon. And so everything that's... you can't even begin to think about the liability attached to something like that. It's like what was the United States' financial liability for dropping the atomic bombs on Japan? Like, you could kind of like go through and like total thing. And this is like orders of magnitude greater than that. From whichever perspective you have. You can have lots of people who are like, wow, COVID-19 was really bad. It was really dangerous. It was such a bad virus. And it came from him. Even if you believe the virus is real. Or if you don't, and you're more upset about the other things that came from him, well, now he broke your leg and then offered you the medical care for your broken leg. Except on like the global scale. I don't see how there's any possible way that they cannot throw the entire book at him. Even if it's just to make him the fall guy. Here's some more examples of what you've been paying for through USAID. A $2 million grant in 2024 to Asociación Lambda. The purpose, strengthen trans-led organizations to deliver gender-affirming healthcare, advocate for improved quality and access to services, and provide economic empowerment opportunities in Guatemala. So a political lobbying organization in Guatemala gets $2 million to pursue gay stuff. USAID spends $40 billion of taxpayer dollars to fund foreign aid. $45 million to DEI scholarships in Burma, $520 million for consultant-driven ESG investments in Africa, $1.2 billion in awards to undisclosed recipients. USAID has awarded basically $1 million to Stephen Leonelli of Washington, D.C. for supporting, quote, development, democracy, and innovation, inclusive development hub programs protecting the human rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex individuals. Putting these words together in this order should be a crime. The mere fact that an organization existed and put these words into this sentence should be a capital offense. $400,000 to another gay thing in Central America. All of the gay things. Now, it's kind of annoying to me when people say, when it's taxpayer dollars, these were the taxpayer dollars. Like, I understand the fiction that they're operating from, and it's fine. These weren't taxpayer dollars. These were just dollars. They're not ours. We don't have any control over them. We use them. They're not ours. The taxation function is just a tiny, tiny aspect of the amount of dollars that get created. This is not taxpayer dollars. This is just dollars that have been created to do just unfathomably stupid things. Think about the lost innovation and infrastructure. Every last little bit of like busted down road or plane that falls out of the sky or lack of internet access in various places. The fact that the vehicles that we drive are such bizarre monstrosities and all of the costs and everything associated with that. All of that potential value has just been siphoned away into, it's not like it's being siphoned away into building some great big grand thing that's evil. There would be a big grand thing there at least. No, there's not even a thing there. It should have just been siphoned away into death and poverty. The merchants of despair. Shout out to Jason Miranchuk, who is not a merchant of despair. I'm not going to make you guys listen to Ilhan Omar ranting about Trump being a dictator. When I talk about like the things that are not necessarily off the table, I sat and saw just a brief clip of this video, and I was like, man, you know what could get me to watch this video? Would be if Tom Homan walked up on the stage while she was talking and deported her on the spot. I would watch that video. And is that... I mean, it's not going to happen, right? Like, Tom Homan's not going to go, like, out while Ilhan Omar's at a public event. They're definitely not going to, like, stage a public event and have her come speak at it, then have Tom Homan walk in and arrest her. They're not going to do that, right? From Libs of TikTok, now it makes sense why Ilhan Omar is so upset that Trump is pausing USAID funds. The country she's representing in Congress received over $2 billion from the U.S. since 2022. $2 billion has been sent to a fake country. Somalia is not even a real country. And $2 billion have been sent there over the last 2 years. What would $2 billion, if those $2 billion were going to exist, what could they have done in our country? What have we been deprived of? Because $2 billion had to be sent to some fake country so a bunch of the worst people in the world can get rich off of it. And she's on the record saying like at a public event, speaking to Somalians, saying that her job in Congress is to advocate for Somalia's interests. Like this one and Fauci are some of the most case closed cases that are so easy. There's absolute justification. This isn't just like, oh, you're starting to persecute your enemies. Fuck off. This is transparently evil, corrupt stuff. And you don't just like, oh yeah, you did an evil, corrupt thing, but really transparently, like you weren't even pretending. You just obviously did a really bad thing. We're just going to say, yeah, you just kind of keep it down. No. No. We need justice in this country. We must have order. And it's only going to come if the administration's not willing to go that far. Someone is going to. So going that far from this is the responsibility of the government. The responsibility of a governing body is to do it so that it doesn't happen spontaneously. Because those are the things that break a society. But it's going to happen. There's going to be justice. This is one of the richest ones. I'm waiting for the day that Bill Kristol just leaves Twitter altogether, because unless maybe Bill Kristol is like a deep op. They turned him. Should have been paying attention to Q. I don't know what Q has said about Bill Kristol, but maybe he's got something. Because maybe Bill Kristol was turned a long time ago, and that's why he's just doing this public humiliation routine. So he actually goes so far as to say the deep state is far preferable to the Trump state. Just saying it out right now. Just straight up. Yeah, that deep state, give me more of that. And Data Republican, very good tweeter here. Data Republican is a deaf, middle-aged woman. Bill Kristol is getting dunked on by a code ninja, deaf, middle-aged woman. Just getting nuked. Hello, Mr. Kristol. For you, the deep state is preferable because you are listed as the president of Defending Democracy, EIN 831567380, which is an indirect beneficiary of USAID through Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisors. You are exposed. Hat tip to Danny Campsalot with the screenshots. Like, I think he's legally obligated to just present himself to prison. Why is USAID giving millions of dollars to Bill Kristol? I wonder where those millions of dollars have gone. That's another one. Bill Kristol. These people don't deserve to just go on with the rest of their lives. You don't get to dedicate your entire life to fomenting death and destruction and evil and corruption, and then just, oops, my bad, guys. And especially if you're just going to fight it all the way down. Give us order. 104 DEI contracts totaling over $1 billion have been canceled thanks to DOGE. Just all these different agencies. And how fast did that happen, man? Remember when DEI was like some weird thing happening in the universities? And then it starts making its way through the NGO sphere. And that's how the grift works. The NGOs publish papers, make recommendations. They're the experts, you know? They're the ones who study all of this. They don't study shit. But they make the recommendations. Then the lawmakers say, oh, well, we have to follow the experts. And it took them like 10 years. And I know a lot of this stuff has been emergent. It has developed over time, and there's been changing terms and all that sort of thing. But that all this whole, the woke thing, like bubbled up, completely proliferated all throughout society, and then got absolutely pillow over the head, smothered to death in the space of like a decade. The DOGE account says this morning 20 consulting contracts, mostly focused on strategic communication and executive coaching, were terminated for immediate savings of $26 million. Strategic communication. And Elon says another description for these types of payments is money laundering. Now, you guys might have heard about Elon's Zoomers, Elon's DOGE Zoomers. We're going to get into them here in just a second, but first of all, I want to read this thread to you guys. Oops. Wrong tab. This tab. So GSA, the General Services Administration, GSA's tech arm, a far-left agency that viciously subverted Trump during his first term, surrendered after an Elon Musk deputy took over. It deleted huge swaths of code dedicated to virtue signaling rather than mission, such as its inclusion bot that lectured staff. They had an inclusion bot. And the demonstration here is Charlie Demonstrata says, "Hey guys, just wanted to let you know this project was being grandfathered into the previous structure." And the bot says, "Hello, our inclusive TTS culture is built one interaction at a time, and inclusive language is the foundation. This bot helps us practice our inclusive values here in TTS. Some of your message could be unintentionally non-inclusive. Here are some alternatives that might work better. Instead of saying grandfathered, how about included retroactively? Instead of saying guys, how about folks?" This bot, nuked. This is how thorough they are. They're going all the way down to the level of going through the code and eliminating everything. This was one of the first indicators that he's got some real code monkeys on his team. Federal government-wide computer office at 18F, which, something went wrong, try reloading. The first time I read through this thread, this went to at 18F. Now at 18F does not exist anymore. As of this 3 days ago, this thread had a transgender flag as its logo. They also deleted where its employee handbook instructed employees to explain what they look like at each meeting so blind people could know if there was sufficient racial diversity. GitHub logs show it deleted how employees should only participate in events where, quote, there are no all-white or all-male panels, end quote, where, quote, there is a code of conduct with an incident response plan, and, quote, participants have a place to share their pronouns. It also ended racial segregation. 18F previously jeopardized the security of 1 million Americans by refusing to implement facial recognition for high-security accounts because of racial equity, even though it was required. The facial recognition tech, one of the big problems with it is that it's very good at noticing things. This went on even during the Trump admin, and they lied to agency heads about it, the Office of the Inspector General found. So they were refusing to implement these policies, lying to agency heads, and there was an investigation that discovered that. TTS/18F has also changed its policy of hiring based on lived experiences to one based on merit principles, code diffs show. What did diverse hiring mean in practice? The government tech arm turned into a coven of transgenders and queers hiring each other. This employee raised money from coworkers for a sex change and used an 18F template to track his goal of changing a penis for a pussy. This is the regime. These are the radical subversives inside the regime. More of their totally merit-based and nonpartisan employees. They look exactly as you would expect. She, they. She, they. They, them. She, they. These are the people who have made up, who have composed this massive, sprawling institution of degeneracy and corruption. These are the people who have had Republican congressmen quaking in their boots. Oh, I can't offend the they, them. In 2016, 18F tech employees plotted to defy Trump and said they'd, quote, uphold our diversity practices, continually improve them, and spread them throughout government. And they did, subverting him for years. Trump 2.0, they're broken and surrendered. One more. 18F was so anti-return to office that it prohibited office employees from holding in-person meetings because it might make remote employees feel othered. These people do not need to be catered to. These people need to be put in homes. So Elon says the DOGE team discovered, among other things, so think about that whole team of people I was just talking about, and all the different initiatives they might want to undertake, and all those like them scattered out throughout all the other different NGOs and agencies and everywhere else. And all the things that they wanted to spend money on. Here's how the Treasury was treating them. The DOGE team discovered, among other things, that payment approval officers at Treasury were instructed always to approve payments, even to known fraudulent or terrorist groups. They literally never denied a payment in their entire career, not even once. The payment approval officers at Treasury were always approving payments to known terrorist groups. We've had this understanding of just how bad all of this is for so long that I feel like I've kind of become numb to this. I'm literally reading a sentence that says the U.S. Treasury was always approving payments to known terrorist groups. These people are in so much deep shit. So our first hint of this, of Musk's team, I think I read this. Yeah, I read this on a show on, must have been Friday, Thursday or Friday. A team including current and former employees of Musk assumed command of OPM on January 20th, the day Trump took office. They have moved sofa beds onto the 5th floor of the agency's headquarters, which contains the director's office and can only be accessed with a security badge or a security escort, one of the OPM employees said. The sofa beds have been installed so the team can work around the clock, the employee said. Indian Bronson said, DC swamp creatures are about to learn the power of pure autism. They have no idea what is coming. Some telecommuting GS-15 with a mortgage is going to have a 24-year-old dude who hasn't showered in 3 days and can't make eye contact with him explain that he needs to turn over his computer and credentials. Well, he undersold it. So Anthony Scaramucci said, on a separate note, it appears that DOGE is trying to do a line-by-line item, agency-by-agency audit of the United States government to eliminate fraud, redundancy, and unnecessary contractors. If that is the case, this needs to be applauded. Who has been saying that this is exactly what's coming? If you're not listening to Tom Luongo, you should start. Because he has been saying almost this, almost word for word, this exact tweet is what Tom Luongo has been saying for a couple of years is coming. Wired has identified 6 young men, all between the ages of 19 and 24, according to public databases, their online presences, and other records, who have little to no government experience and are now playing critical roles in Musk's DOGE project. So let's read from Wired. The young, inexperienced engineers aiding Elon Musk's government takeover. Engineers between 19 and 24, most linked to Musk's companies, are playing a key role as he seizes control of federal infrastructure. Elon Musk's takeover of federal government infrastructure is ongoing, and at the center of things is a coterie of engineers who are barely out of, and in at least one case, purportedly still in, college. The Zoomer Waffen have arrived. Most have connections to Musk, and at least 2 have connections to Musk's longtime associate, Peter Thiel, a co-founder and chairman of the analytics firm and government contractor Palantir, who has long expressed opposition to democracy. The PayPal Mafia takeover is so much more comprehensive than even I anticipated. This is directly the PayPal Mafia thesis. This is the most pure distilled expression of it. All the way down to Zoomers as the foot soldiers. Wired has identified 6 young men, all apparently between the ages of 19 and 24, according to public databases, their online presences, and other records, who have little to no government experience and are now playing critical roles at Musk's so-called DOGE project, tasked by executive order with, quote, modernizing federal technology and software to maximize governmental efficiency and productivity. The engineers all hold nebulous job titles within DOGE. Oh, they're nebulous job titles as opposed to the, like very specific ones, like Undersecretary for Policy. And at least one appears to be working as a volunteer. One of these dudes is volunteering. Build him a statue. The engineers are Akash Baba. Of course, they named the Indian first. Edward Korestein, Luke Ferrator, Gautier Cole Killian, Gavin Kleiger, and Ethan Chautran. None have responded to requests for comment from Wired. Representatives from OPM, GSA, and DOGE did not respond to requests for comment. Already, Musk's lackeys have taken control of the OPM and General Services Administration and have gained access to the Treasury Department's payment system, potentially allowing him access to a vast range of sensitive information about tens of millions of citizens, businesses, and more. Now, I don't think that it's a coincidence that a couple of days ago we heard about the number 2 at the Treasury who is refusing to give them access to the payment system and stepped down, resigned, retired. And like 2 days later, we get an article in Wired describing this whole thing that's happened and airing out the identities of some of those people there. I would be shocked if the source for this story is that number 2 guy at the Treasury. Yeah, Gen X head on a Gen Z body. On Sunday, CNN reported that DOGE personnel attempted to improperly access classified information in security systems at the USAID, and the top USAID security officials who thwarted the attempt were subsequently put on leave. The AP reported that DOGE personnel had indeed accessed classified material. Now note, up here, their responsibility is modernizing federal technology and software to maximize governmental efficiency and productivity. Brilliantly defined euphemism. Maybe it was a divined euphemism. So they've been given an explicit order by the executive to access these systems. And yet, they're framing it as if they're doing something illegal. What we're seeing is unprecedented in that you have these actors who are not really public officials gaining access to the most sensitive data in government. These darn kids, they're not real public officials. They just have an explicit mandate from the president. Says Don Moynihan, a professor of public policy at the University of Michigan. We really have very little eyes on what's going on. Congress has no ability to really intervene and monitor what's happening because these aren't really accountable public officials. So this feels like a hostile takeover of the machinery of governments by the richest man in the world. Libs post more MAGA W's. They're so good at it because they get so histrionic that they describe it in the most based possible way. Baba has attended the University of Cal Berkeley, where he was in the prestigious Management, Entrepreneurship, and Technology program. According to a copy of his now deleted LinkedIn obtained by Wired, he was an investment engineering intern at the Bridgewater Associates hedge fund as of last spring, and previously an intern at both Meta and Palantir. He was a featured guest on a since-deleted podcast with Aman Manazir, an engineer who interviews engineers about how they landed their dream jobs, where he talked about those experiences last June. Korestein, as Wired previously reported, appears to have recently graduated from high school and to have been enrolled at Northeastern University. According to a copy of his resume obtained by Wired, he spent 3 months at Neuralink, Musk's brain-computer interface company, last summer. What a decision. What a decision to make. Spent 3 months at Neuralink, I assume as like an intern, and got himself hired on for the DOGE project. Both Baba and Korestein are listed in internal OPM records reviewed by Wired as experts at OPM, reporting directly to Amanda Scales, its new chief of staff. Scales previously worked on talent for XAI, Musk's artificial intelligence company, and as part of Uber's talent acquisition team per LinkedIn. So she's well qualified, and she's demonstrated her ability with Musk, and he presumably has a good relationship with her and trusts her directly. He's bringing in his own talent to do to the government what he did to Twitter. People kind of memed about it, and they're like, oh yeah, it's kind of an example. No, they're literally doing the exact same thing. Employees at GSA tell Wired that Korstein has appeared on calls where workers were made to go over code they had written and justify their jobs. They're dragging federal employees onto Zoom calls and making them defend their code. Wired previously reported that Korstein was added to call with GSA staff members using a non-government Gmail address. Employees were not given an explanation as to who he was or why he was on the calls. Imagine being some federal employee and you're on this call and there's just some kid with a Gmail address just sitting there looking at you. You're like, what's happening? Why is he here? Oh, he's the one who's going to give you your marching orders after you prove that you're shitty at your job. Therator, who per sources has a working GSA email address. Oh, okay. So the other guy has a Gmail address, but he's got a working government address. Okay. Whew, thank goodness. He's a former intern at SpaceX and currently a Teal Fellow after, according to his LinkedIn, dropping out of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. While in school, he was part of an award-winning team that deciphered portions of an ancient Greek scroll. You could not write this story any better. If this was fiction. I don't even know how do you watch a TV show or read a book now? The most interesting history ever is in the making right now. We'll have more on this ancient Greek scroll thing in just a little bit. Kliger, no idea how you pronounce it, whose LinkedIn lists him as a special advisor to the director of OPM and who is listed in internal records reviewed by Wired as a special advisor to the director for information technology, attended UC Berkeley until 2020. Most recently, according to his LinkedIn, he worked for the AI company Databricks. His Substack includes a post titled The Curious Case of Matt Gaetz, How the Deep State Destroys Its Enemies, as well as another titled Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense, The Warrior Washington Fears. At least one of these dudes is a poster. At least one of these dudes has an anonymous account out there. And he came from the land of the posters. Killian, also known as Cole Killian, has a working email associated with DOGE where he's currently listed as a volunteer according to internal records. According to a copy of his now deleted resume, he attended McGill University through at least 2021 and graduated high school in 2019. An archived copy of his now deleted personal website indicates that he worked as an engineer at Jump Trading, which specializes in algorithmic and high-frequency financial trades. These dudes are single-handedly redeeming the Zoomer generation. Someone in here in the chat, yes, screwed up Texas. James Monroe, 18. Aaron Burr, 20. John Marshall, 20. Alexander Hamilton, 21. James Madison, 25. You know, when Vivek was talking about like a new American Revolution or whatever, I was like, okay, you know, you got to you got to pander to the boomers. You got to use the big, you know, the rhetoric. But history's repeating itself. Xiaotran told Business Insider in September that he was a senior at Harvard studying computer science and also the founder of an OpenAI-backed startup, Energize AI. Xiaotran was the runner-up in a hackathon held by XAI, Musk's AI company. In the Business Insider article, Xiaotran says he received a $100,000 grant from OpenAI to build his scheduling assistant, Spark. These guys are directly adjacent to the Gundo boys. Remember how we were talking about Gundo months ago? And I said that there's something happening among the young men in the technology sector who idolize Elon Musk and Peter Thiel. There's something happening in there. Never going to get tired of being right again. Here's another one. Elon Musk's friends have infiltrated another government agency. Elon Musk's former employees are trying to use White House credentials to access General Services Administration tech, giving them the potential to remote into laptops, read emails, and more, sources say. Elon Musk's minions, from trusted sidekicks to random college students and former Musk company interns, have taken over the General Services Administration, a critical government agency that manages federal offices and technology. Already, the team is attempting to use White House security credentials to gain unusual access to GSA tech, deploying a suite of new AI software and recreating the office in X's image. Some of the same people who helped Musk take over Twitter more than 2 years ago are now registered as official GSA employees. Nicole Hollander, who slept in Twitter HQ as an unofficial member of Musk's transition team, has high-level agency access and an official government email address. Hollander's husband, Steve Davis, also slept in the office. He has now taken on a leading role in Musk's Department of Government Efficiency. Thomas Shedd, the recently installed director of the Technology Transformation Services within GSA, worked as a software engineer at Tesla for 8 years. Edward Korestein, who previously interned at Neuralink, has been onboarded along with Ethan Chautran, a Harvard senior who's developing his own OpenAI-backed scheduling assistant and participated in an XAI hackathon. I believe these people do not want to help the federal government provide services to the American people, says a current GSA employee who asked not to be cited, citing fears of retaliation. They are acting like this is a takeover of a tech company. This is just... When I saw this coming, I didn't see it coming so literally. So not only are they executing this fantastic blitzkrieg coup, but they've got experience. They're just duplicating an already successful strategy. There also appears to be an effort to use IT credentials from the Executive Office of the President to access GSA laptops and internal GSA infrastructure. Typically, access to agency systems requires workers to be employed at such agencies, sources say. While Musk's team could be trying to obtain better laptops and equipment from GSA, sources fear that the mandate laid out in the DOGE executive order would grant the body broad access to GSA systems and data. Sources fear that the mandate laid out in the executive order would grant the body... Imagine the president issuing an executive order that grants his explicitly designated organization to do this. It grants it broad access. Yes. That's explicitly what it says. That includes sensitive procurement data internal to all the system and services GSA offers, and internal monitoring software to surveil GSA employees as part of normal auditing and security processes. The access could give Musk's proxies the ability to remote into laptops, listen in on meetings, read emails, among other things, a former Biden official told Wired on Friday. Granting DOGE staff, many of whom aren't government employees, unfettered access to internal government systems and sensitive data poses a huge security risk to the federal government and to the American public, the Biden official said. Not only will DOGE be able to review procurement-sensitive information about major government contracts, it'll be able to actively surveil government employees. The government employees who are left are going to be actively surveilled. Imagine just how many government employees are being run out because they're like, I don't want to work in this environment. Maximizing the hostility of the work environment to force government employees to retire. Okay. So, more on these Doge boys. Peyton Alexander says, my favorite part about Doge is how one of the guys will be some kind of insane prodigy who decoded the Herculaneum papyri at the age of 20, and the hit piece author's bio trying to take him down is like, associate staff writer for general topics, hobbies include having a cat. And he's not exaggerating. This is the guy who wrote this takedown piece for Mashable, and currently residing in Chicago, Illinois. He's the general assignments editor at Mashable, covering tech, video games, dating apps, digital culture, and whatever else comes his way. So he like talks about like TikTok and video games and shit. He has a master's in journalism and is a proud orange cat father. His writing has also appeared in PC Mag and Mother Jones. In his free time, he cooks, loves to sleep, and finds great enjoyment in Detroit sports. Like he basically wrote like a dating profile for his bio. And here's the boys. Here's the absolute mad lads. Look at them. This is, of course, become a meme format already. Who are these little boys, and why are they in charge of our money? The U.S. Treasury pays for Social Security, Medicare, grants, and federal salaries, and is usually run by grown-ups. Mamas, come get your babies out of our government. The broccoli-haired Zoomer is going to turn off your Social Security, Grandma. Zoomer Alcibiades says a terminally online Zoomer who worked on the Herculaneum scrolls is in charge of the U.S. Treasury. Honestly, I had no idea it was even possible to win this much. And Relevant Mina says one of Yarvin's go-to examples for victory was always how, during the New Deal, the most talented young men in America went to D.C. to work for federal agencies. Startup kids tasked with stuff like electrifying the Tennessee Valley. That's what real regime change would look like. I think Yarvin's going to have to apologize again soon because he underestimated the extent to which Trump was ready to blow out FDR. Here's the posts on this have just been so good. Pascal Emmanuel Gobri says, if we'd asked these to run Iraq in 2003, today it would be Switzerland. Because this guy says, can't believe we're running the Iraq playbook on our own government. And they're taking the time to troll. So another of the Doge 6, Gavin Klieger, has a Substack, and in response to the Wired article, wrote a paywalled post titled, Why Doge? With a $1,000 a month subscription price, $10,000 annual. The post is blank. How did they find it out? This guy here, posting on Reddit, says, Gavin Klieger, Musk aide named to the Doge takeover, made this post under a $10K paywall. Here's what's after the payment screen so you don't have to. Spoiler, it's blank. Those people need to be stopped. Some angry lib thought that they were going to get the scoop of their life. And they paid either $1,000 or $10,000 to access a blank post. Ah! This is so much better than I could have ever dreamed. Absolutely incredible. So this is one of these based Zoomers. I'm going to play this video, and it's going to give me a chance here to rest my throat.
So I've always been interested in history. Growing up, I learned Latin. I was never that good at it, but I was always kind of into that sort of stuff, read a lot about the Roman Empire and things. And one day I was just listening
Roman Empire. We got a Roman Empire appreciator.
To a podcast back in March. It was with Nat Friedman. He just kind of got on the podcast, explained like there are these burnt up scrolls that were buried in the Pompeii eruption. No one knows how to read them, but some professors have created CT scans of these scrolls, and they uploaded the data on the internet as a competition to see who could find writing inside of these scrolls. And when I heard that, I was just immediately like, oh my goodness, this is such a cool project. I have to work on this. I just went home from work that day at the end of the day, and I've been working on it evenings and weekends ever since. I run most of the things from my laptop. It's just a normal MacBook, don't worry. But then I've just got like 5 surplus computers in here. This is what I do most of my work from. The Rake School and just the University of Nebraska as a whole has provided a great educational background where I can then, take these skills that I've learned and apply them to problems like this. I just spend hours upon hours staring at flattened pieces of the scroll like this, trying to find these patterns which are part of the writing. At the start,
the dude literally stares at this indecipherable scroll doing pattern matching. Just noticing patterns. He's one of the best at noticing patterns.
Start of the challenge, we had not been able to find any writing at all within these scrolls. There are hundreds of these scrolls that are from the mansion. We've scanned a couple of them, and no one had been able to find any writing in them using these methods. Late one Saturday night, I was sitting at a party at a friend's house in Omaha, and I get a text from another person on the challenge team, and he says, hey, I've just uploaded this new kind of piece of the the scroll. You should take a look at it. I remotely access my computer. I type into it like, please run the algorithm on this new piece of scroll. And then I just kind of start it. I pull out my phone again, just nonchalantly, like, hey, I wonder how that went. And there are 3 Greek letters on the screen, letters I'd never seen before. It was really cool because it's like, oh my goodness, like we actually detected new writing in the scrolls using AI. That was the moment I realized like this is actually going to work. Like we're probably going to read the scrolls. And I completely freaked out. My friends were there. I was cheering, jumping up and down, screaming, crying, all the stuff. I, took a picture of the results and I sent them to my mom. She called me and she's like, hey, these look great, It was a really special moment. Yeah, so this is the word that I actually found. It's right here. It's the word prophoros, which translates to purple. It's the first word we found in the scrolls. It was reviewed by a committee of kind of Greek scholars, but it's the word purple. And I'm glad it's not the word in or the or and that we found first. We actually found a word that has meaning. This would not be possible without modern AI and modern scanning techniques. People have wanted to read these books for hundreds of years, and this seems like the only way where it's really possible to do that. Now we're reading entire paragraphs from the scrolls, and hopefully we'll be able to read the entire book and read the hundreds of other books that were buried in this condition as well. When we found this first word, we went public with it, and I think everyone has been very pleasantly surprised by the amount of attention it's gotten. As a college student, it's definitely been overwhelming in the best way possible, but it's been really cool to get to kind of, talk about my findings and, share what I want to do in the future with so many people. So it's been overwhelming in the best possible way. The University of Nebraska does a really good job of encouraging their students to think boldly, and I think that's played a pivotal role in my work on this project.
Oh, damn it. I muted myself for like the first time on the show ever. I almost never mute myself, but I knew I was gonna cough. Oh well. This is what they have been. This is what they've been. This is what they were deciphering. This is the scroll. They've been using AI to read this whole, like a bound up roll of paper that's been completely charred, and yet they can somehow read it. It was a great story for AI as well. I think the first thing I said when I came back was, this is corn-fed autism. Nebraska boy with some corn-fed autism. A couple other tweets on this. Geiger Capital says, Elon really has his best cracked engineers sleeping in the Eisenhower building trying to put some startup energy into the government. Incredible. We needed this. And Cherish Zhang says, let me tell you something about Akash. During a project at Berkeley, I accidentally deleted our entire code base 2 days before the deadline. I panicked. Akash just stared at the screen, shrugged, and rewrote everything from scratch in one night. Better than before. We submitted early and got first in the class. Many such stories. I trust him with everything I own. These are the 10x engineers, or the 100x engineers. Like, these are the guys that you want around. And then this company called 8 Sleep that makes this sleep fitness machine. They're sending a bunch of their specialized sleep maximizing deals to DOGE. He says units are on their way to DOGE. Teams should be there around 4 p.m. to deliver them. It's time to power their limited sleep. They're shipping pods to anyone sleeping there at DOGE. So these boys are working round the clock. I saw Elon put out a tweet. I think he said that they're working 120-hour weeks right now. And he said that their competition in the government is working 40 hours a week, if that. They were never prepared for what was about to hit them. You've got federal employees who are renowned for their incompetence and unwillingness to work and slowness, like the exact opposite of cutting edge. And they're getting bum rushed by a tidal wave of top-level competence and execution with Zoomer energy. So on Reddit and Blue Sky is where all the libs have congregated to cry about everything. And r/white people Twitter is now calling for the public execution of the DOGE software developers. The only reason we know who these guys are is because the libs wanted to dox them so that they could try to convince people to try to kill them. Like, we can be completely honest about this. The reason we know their names is because the libs want to kill them. But they can't do it themselves. All they can do is dox them and hope somebody else does their dirty work for them. I'm not going to read all of these, but Elon says they have broken the law. And yesterday, I think the tweet is deleted now because it wasn't there when I went looking for it. But a guy replied in a conversation that Elon was tagged on and said, and named those 6 boys. Said, these are the 6 stooges or whatever that Elon is using. And Elon replied to them and said, you have broken the law. And I cannot, or he said, you have committed a crime. And I can't think of, like, if I imagine getting a little buzz on my phone and opening it up and looking at it, I can't think of many things that would be more instant diarrhea inducing than seeing a direct tweet from Elon Musk telling me I just committed a crime. I can understand why the guy deleted the tweet. Here's some more from Reddit. Battle Beagle calls it Redditor Ragnarok. I'm spiraling. They're doing exactly what they said they would. Project 2025 is becoming reality. The country is being dismantled. Catastrophe is imminent. And no one seems to care. Every time I open this app, I read something unbelievable. I'm enraged. Most of my family doesn't believe it or are hiding their heads in the sand. Others are openly celebrating it. My wife thinks I've gone full conspiracy theorist. I feel like I'm in a disaster movie where the guy is trying to explain and convince everyone the cataclysm is coming, and no one believes him or cares. Shout out to Paul Suda for that banger. Now, we've had another momentous occasion. Ed Martin, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, has given formal notice to Elon, sent via X. So this is like official, stationary, from U.S. Attorney, sent to Elon, and it's sent via X. He says, Dear Elon, please see this important letter. We will not tolerate threats against DOGE workers or law breaking by the disgruntled. All the best, Ed Martin. And he says, Dear Elon, it was good to work with the DOGE team this weekend. We must keep all our American government employees safe, and we must protect the American people's property. Anyone imperiling others violates our laws. I recognize that some of the staff at DOGE has been targeted publicly. At this time, I ask that you utilize me and my staff to assist in protecting the DOGE work and the DOGE workers. Any threats, confrontations, or other actions in any way that impact their work may break numerous laws. Let me assure you of this. We will pursue any and all legal action against anyone who impedes your work or threatens your people. We will not act like the previous administration who looked the other way as the Antifa and BLM rioters, as well as thugs with guns, trashed our capital city. We will protect DOGE and other workers no matter what. One last warning for you. Late last week, we indicted an economist who worked at the Fed for economic espionage for the Communist Chinese. Please be very aware that there are those who are acting against our American people in every way. Refer to us any questionable conduct or details that you find or notice. Please keep in touch. All the best. Sincerely, Edward R. Martin Jr., United States Attorney. So we have a U.S. attorney who is directly soliciting Elon and saying, please allow us to intervene and prosecute anyone who's coming after your Doge boys. Elon says, thank you. Receipt via X acknowledged. So this is a legal transaction. A legal event has occurred here. The U.S. attorney advised Mr. Elon Musk, the administrator of Doge, he advised him publicly. In case you were wondering if Twitter is real life, it's real life. And then another statement from him, this tweeted out from the official DC U.S. Attorney account. He says, our initial review of the evidence presented to us indicates that certain individuals and or groups have committed acts that appear to violate the law in targeting Doge employees, said Edward R. Martin Jr., U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. We are in contact with FBI and other law enforcement partners to proceed rapidly. We also have our prosecutors preparing. And he quote tweeted it and said, see something, say something. That's Kash Patel's FBI, by the way. So now you've got all the libs who are losing their minds. The Doge is doing all these illegal things. And the DC U.S. Attorney and the FBI are about to rip off their heads and take a gigantic dump right down their necks. How... I love winning. It just feels so good. It feels so good. Here's the thread from Smug. This is Smug_editing on Twitter. Smug Doom Posting Publishing House, one of the best posters. Says a bunch of people are DMing and asking me, Smug, what are you most fixated about? What Trump's doing right now, trying to seek insight? Aside from foreign policy, my line of work, there's something being missed. Trump/Elon's financial coup d'etat attempt on the U.S. government. There's going to be a statue of Trump someday. You know it. You know that Trump is going to have a majestic statue, multiple majestic statues built of him. Because we're a civilization, and that's what civilizations do. Some terminology off the bat, because I assume most people haven't read Luttwak's Coup d'etat, a practical handbook, which is quite literally a manual on how to conduct a coup d'etat, and if you believe the man, it's been used by African schemers. No, really. This is quoting from this statecraft.pub. I think it's probably a PDF for the book. It says, for example, Ken Hassan II of Morocco was the victim of a coup. His airplane was to be shot down coming back from Paris, but he landed and became very energetic, took control of the airbase, and then eventually tracked down the organizer of the coup, who was the Minister of the Interior, General Mohammed Oufkir. According to King Hassan's New York Times obituary, quote, when pilots of his Air Force attacked his Boeing 727 jetliner, the king, himself a pilot, seized the radio and shouted, stop firing, the tyrant is dead, fooling the rebels into breaking off their attack. Now, there is a Hamletic Shakespearean turn in this because Oufkir was in fact a devoted servant of the royal house who had served the previous king, the heroic Mohammed V, heroically and most deservedly. Hassan II became a reckless and open playboy who in fact was flying back from Paris after another couple of weeks cavorting with the elegant ladies who take money for their services. Oufkir wanted to kill Hassan so that another member of the royal family would come in, someone who was not a playboy and would be serious and determined and courageous and all these other things. Ironically, when Hassan landed after the attempt to have his plane shot down, he proved exactly that. He immediately went and got a few people, rounded up the pilots, and then came to town and did everything that Oufkir had wanted the heir of the throne to do. But he, of course, entered Oufkir's office and shot him. Oufkir bled to death, and he did so over a copy of my book. The Minister of the Interior, Dlimi was his name, promised to give me this copy of the book, which I really needed, obviously. But then what happened is that he had tried a coup, and before he could deliver the book to me, because evidently he read the book, instead, before he could deliver it to me, he was killed as well. After that, there was a great tranquility over the Moroccan throne to this day. Officially, Minister Dlimi died in a car crash. However, allegations have been made that he was assassinated. Anyways, Luttwak defines a coup d'etat as a swift and organized seizure of power, typically executed by a small but critical segment of the state apparatus, such as military officers or bureaucrats. This form of coup is characterized by its reliance on the existing structures of the state, which are used to displace the current government without widespread public involvement or mass mobilization. Ideally, it's pulled off carefully and effectively. You don't want to wake up and see this on state TV telling you everything's fine. Now, the key to a good coup is to seize control of the financial resources or the treasury as soon as possible. Anyone who knows how the Ottoman open succession worked understands this. Basically, on the death of a sultan, all adult male heirs would compete for the throne, often resulting in fratricide. The winner tended to be the son, often the one most favored by dad, closest to the capital. He could rush to Constantinople, seize the treasury, and then be able to pay the army to squash his brothers. Pretty straightforward, no? All right, Smug, we get it. Coups have to be fast to be cool, but how does this relate to Trump and Elon? Well, first off, it's only been like 2 weeks since Trump entered office, yet it feels like months. Guy has been signing executive orders like mad to do everything from renaming the Gulf of Mexico to destroying USAID, and soon, inshallah, the Department of Education for very good reasons. If you're on the right, it's like Christmas is every single day plus lib tears. But the admin faces a problem. The deep state bureaucracy plus the Democratic Party is fighting back. Lawsuits, the courts, bureaucratic resistance, etc. This stuff sunk the first Trump admin. Okay, so what's changed? To put it simply, Elon, DOGE, and professional tier autists. Anyone who has dealt with Silicon Valley nerds, or better yet, has read Jacques Ellul's The Technological Society, understands that these people fucking worship efficiency. In Ellulian language, technique. Something being inefficient bothers them. Thus, DOGE, which seeks to streamline federal operations and reduce government spending, this, of course, has led to some issues. Namely, bureaucrats are fighting this all the way. It says here, it likely went like this. Elon. All right, time to save the U.S. government some money. Let's start beginning all the data. You, bureaucrat anon, tell me, where does all this money go to and to whom? Bureaucrat anon. I'm not really sure. Elon. But it's literally your job. People. Yeah, man, but it's the U.S. government. It's so fucking big, you know. Elon, now frustrated. Okay, fuck. Fine. Where does the money come from? Where can I get, like, the full list of people who get paid and what? Bureaucrat anon. Oh, that's OPM, GSA, and the Treasury Department. Elon, now more pleased. Okay, progress. Now I'm going to take my guys there, get all that data, put it through some AI systems, and see what numbers we can crunch out, what to cut, and who to cut. Bureaucrat anon, now with rising panic fury, realizing what this means. Wait, no, stop, you can't do that. Help, help, he's committing a fascism! And I mean all the way. And here's screenshots from Reddit posts. All the people just freaking out. Washington Post reporters posted in Fed News, hi, our names are Hannah Natanson and Lisa Rain. We're reporters for the Washington Post covering the rapid-fire changes taking place across the federal government. We're looking to speak with anyone willing to chat about what they're seeing in their agencies, and especially anyone who's been terminated or have colleagues who've been terminated. So they're openly posting, asking for leakers. They're just leaving all the breadcrumbs because nobody was prepared for this. No one expected that this was going to happen. We didn't expect it. They didn't expect it. So they're getting blitzkrieged, and the only thing they could do is fall back on their usual tried and true tricks, which just draw them right out into the open to get crushed. The core issue is that the U.S. government is too big. The admin would have to chase down every agency and bend it to their will. Bureaucrats can notionally continue to respect the law and resist those efforts, helped by court injunctions, etc. Bureaucratic trench warfare. Here's the structure of the federal government, all these different agencies. Here's the organizational structure. Reminder that I'll post all this on the King Pilled Substack, and if you want to go through and look at any of these diagrams or read in on any of the links and stuff, then King Pilled Substack is the place to get that. But tech guys understand one thing very well: single points of failure. The one thing that if you hit, the whole system starts to break. In the US government's case, it's the Bureau of the Fiscal Service. The Bureau manages the government's accounting, central payment systems, and public debt. Basically, it's the giant fucking Microsoft Excel sheet plus payment system that allows everything to run. It's near literal pulsating payments heart of the entire federal government. Very sophisticated digital infrastructure and a development organization. But we still rely on Excel for key inputs. To give you an idea of what I mean by this, in 2024, the Treasury's internal payment system processed 1.4 billion payments with an aggregate value of $5.4 trillion. That is 88% of the total payments the federal government makes. Well, guess what? Elon went for it. Trump's Treasury Secretary, under the big man's orders, gave access. They've even shafted aside David Lebrick, the Deputy Secretary and Chief Bureaucrat of the department. So what does this mean? Basically, under the pretext of tackling fraud and criminal activity, of which there are some cases for a variety of reasons, Elon is trying to gain control of the damn thing. To be clear, the Bureau is a payments intermediary between the U.S. federal government and the wider payment system. It routes payments to recipients through the Federal Reserve and onto the banking system. And to be fair, you can't really expect a bureau with such a small staff and a particular mandate to do due diligence on practically every U.S. government transaction. This is something that would require a lot more stuff plus specific legislation. Why? Simply put, data. Treasury collects almost all the data for practical reasons. Data the Treasury collects could not possibly be more sensitive. We're talking about hundreds of millions of social security numbers plus other specific identifying information, sensitive stuff. Elon is trying to override that on Trump's orders. Why? Because it's the Ottoman Treasury seizure. Total coup. If they seized the Bureau and the payment system, they wouldn't need individual agency cooperation or trench warfare. They could just impound agency payments themselves. You're an agency that's not doing what we say? No more money for you. They could also possibly stop paying federal employees they have forced on paid administrative leave. I.e., I'm no longer asking lib, resign. Now, if Trump and Elon succeed, then it's pretty much game over. Total money control. But the worry is if they fuck up. Because if they do, we're all fucked. Why? Simple. U.S. government runs a shit legacy system. That's not an exaggeration. Last year, the Treasury put out the attached press release celebrating moving some of the IRS's systems off assembly, a mainframe coding language invented in 1947. The department's systems are like that, legacy systems built on legacy systems. Written in code and languages that aren't really used anymore. And Elon is digging around trying to find the source code. Imagine if he and some of his guys broke something in the process. That's the situation we're in. Either Trump and Elon succeed, in which case things get very spicy. If they fail, then it's bureaucratic trench warfare. And if they fuck up, well, if they fuck up, I hope you also bought gold, Anon. And I'll just add to that he's talking about them going in and getting root control of the purse. And Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, has been talking for a couple of years now about how we need a Bretton Woods 2.0. A complete restructure of the global monetary system. And Jay Powell, Federal Reserve Chair, is on the record saying that there can be more than one global reserve currency. You can start putting some of these pieces together about how comprehensive the changes that are coming are. The other big news of today. So, this big tariff war. You had all the hoopla about these tariffs that Trump was going to be imposing on Mexico and Canada, and that he did impose on Mexico and Canada. And what I was setting up for earlier today was talking about some of the reactions to the tariffs before they, getting a little ahead of ourselves here. Both Mexico and Canada just completely caved. But you had the libs who were talking about MAGAs having a total meltdown. Did they really think they could just tariff people and not get hit back? Cope and seethe. Meanwhile, almost half of Canadian businesses plan to shift more investments and operations to the U.S. to mitigate potential tariffs and maintain market access. Almost half of Canadian businesses were like, yeah, no, we're going with the Americans on this one here. Yeah, whatever you're going to do, Trudeau, that's nice. We're with them. But one of the worst decisions was this fat fuck. Ontario cancels $100 million Starlink deal as Trump's 25% tariffs loom. Premier Doug Ford announced Ontario is scrapping its $100 million contract with Starlink ahead of Trump's incoming tariffs on U.S. goods. Ford's government is also banning other American companies from provincial contracts in response to the trade measures. Elon says, oh well, because a couple of hours later, Justin Trudeau, I just had a good call with President Trump. Canada is implementing our $1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, and personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners, and increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the border. In addition, Canada is making new commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar. We will list cartels as terrorists, ensure 24/7 eyes on the border, launch a Canada-U.S. joint strike force to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. I have also signed a new intelligence directive on organized crime and fentanyl, and we will be backing it with $200 million. Proposed tariffs will be paused for at least 30 days while we work together. So every single time, the same thing happens over and over again. Trump says, we're going to do this crazy thing. Everyone says, oh, he's out of his mind. Why would he possibly do something like that? This is going to explode in his face just epically. And then everyone bends the knee, and he gets exactly what he was looking for. How many times does the dude have to win using the exact same playbook? For the first time ever, the Canadians produce something funny. No, that's not fair. There's actually lots of very good, very funny Canadian things. Canadian TV called a couple months ago, they called exactly how this was going to go.
Mr. President, I must admit I was worried that you were going to try to humiliate me.
I would never embarrass you, Justin. Are you kidding me?
Thank you, Donald.
Now I want to see you eat it.
Excuse me? The hamburger.
The Big Mac, the president of all burgers. I'm gonna make you eat it like a dog with no hands.
Mr. President, I have self-respect.
Not so much, to be honest. I mean, he came like a dog, didn't he? He really did.
Mon ami, I come to you not on bended knee, but as an equal.
30% tariff.
My father taught me to never...
50% tariff.
We Canadians are a hearty lot.
60% tariff.
For Canada! I'm a hungry little puppy. I'm so hungry for my puppy chow.
All right, that's enough, Justin. I won't impose a tariff. I can't. I'm not even the president yet, am I? What a loser. Now let's DJ.
It's fun to stay at the
Amazing. All right, we've got the little man here. I've been wrestling him off me. Come here, Eastwood, where are you? Eastwood, where are you? Where'd you go?
Back here.
Come here, stand up. Eastwood, please leave that alone. No. Please leave that alone. Come on. Stand up.
What makes the fan turn on?
The button makes it turn on. Come here.
Can you please push the button that makes it turn on?
No, I don't want it on right now. I love you, big guy.
Please help me there. Please let me out.
No, I'm not going to lift you up here, okay? I love you, mister. No, please don't do that. You can go out now.
No, I can't.
Yeah. I need you to go back out. Take your snake. Eastwood, no. Leave that alone, please.
Daddy, no.
Please go out.
Leave that alone, please.
Please go out. Open the door and go out. Please go out.
Apparently he's getting sick as well, and he's cranky.
All right. That was Canada, and then Mexico did the exact same thing. Trump says, I just spoke with President Claudia Sheinbaum. I still can't get over the fact that we have a Claudia Sheinbaum Mexican president. Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico. It was a very friendly conversation wherein she agreed to immediately supply 10,000 Mexican soldiers on the border separating Mexico and the United States. These soldiers will be specifically designated to stop the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants into our country. We further agreed to immediately pause the anticipated tariffs for a 1-month period, during which we will have negotiations headed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent, and Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick, and high-level representatives of Mexico. I look forward to participating in these negotiations with President Sheinbaum as we attempt to achieve a deal between our two countries. It's interesting that we keep seeing the same characters showing up in a lot of these. Marco Rubio is showing up a lot. Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick. These three are showing up in a lot of different situations. There's there's like a core team at the administration. And we've got Trump's rapid response account posting, you could just do things. Did you know that you can just do things? The president himself is telling you, you could just do things. Okay, I need to... My voice is wearing down here, so I need to figure out which of these I can save. I've got some stuff on Rubio. I've got some stuff on the FBI. Some stuff on Ukraine, South Africa, Central America. I'm going to finish it off. I'm going to save some of these here for tomorrow because I don't think that my voice is going to last a whole bunch longer. But I want to finish it with this one. So Reddit Lies says, Redditors are seriously discussing creating fake right-wing accounts to stir up infighting among right-wingers. Notice the methodology here because, as 0HP points out, the behavior of leftists trying to stir up infighting among the right is indistinguishable from the behavior of the right. So this is what the leftists want to happen among the right. This is from Not a Political Alt. Says, I've thought about this and essentially come to the same conclusion. Instead of fighting the right, I think it would be far more effective to get them to infight. Remind them what annoys them about the other parts of MAGA. We saw the mess online around H-1B. There are more of those, many more. Despite their protests, the things holding the Republican coalition together is a massive propaganda operation and identity politics. They hold a much broader range of policy preferences than we often imagine. But once Republicans actually have to start implementing policies, some people are going to find out the ugly truth. Someone has to be wrong when you can find out the cat's status. I don't even know what that means. Someone has to be wrong when you can find out the cat's status. The other primary benefit of getting them to infight is that it splits the media and propaganda machine. If Fox News doesn't know who they should cater to, that's a great opportunity, as if anyone's listening to Fox News. This is especially true if Trump is in one of his moods where he's out of line with his base, since he will entertain many positions based on who last spoke with him. Fox knows they need to stay in his good graces, but his supporters need to feel validated in their own views as well. They don't even... Imagine thinking that Fox means anything to anyone. And Fox isn't just, like, begrudgingly following along with what's happening. We don't need to convince them he is wrong or against them, just to get them to doubt. Doubt over time will gnaw away at them, and they may not say they were wrong, but they will stop being vocal. They may even feel discomfort watching Fox or engaging with others on their side. If they completely flip, that's great, but the goal is to really get them to stop engaging with right-wing media and the Trump cultosphere. And Schrodinger's Slug says, I wonder if Evie could make a bunch of bot accounts for this purpose, collapse them from the inside using their own tactics of misinformation. Also, as a fellow AI researcher who's also a huge skeptic in AI in general, I love this, bookmarking this post. So there's a couple things to take away from this. One of them is, as 0HP says, what they're honing in on is exactly the thing, is trying to stir up exactly the thing that the black pillars want, that the black pillars promote, the dooming, the doubting. You have to doubt. You have to be black-pilled. You have to feel like the coalition's going to break apart. You know, he's not completely aligned with you on this thing or that thing. So the thing the libs want to do is the thing that the black pillars do. Ergo, black pillars are libs. They're the enemy. The other thing here is, look just how completely out of touch they are. They have no idea who they're talking about. They have no idea who the actual people are that make up Trump's base. They still think that people are listening to Fox. In their mind, their enemies are a bunch of boobs, a bunch of like boomer Republican goofballs. They have no idea what they're up against. We do. We know what they're like. We've been drowning in their bullshit for years. That gives us the edge. All right, and last thing I'm going to do here before my voice gives out completely is I realized I missed a couple of super chats, and I don't want to do that. So I got $10 from Michael Robertson. It says, this super chat contains no content. And I don't know if he actually typed that out or if it's like a default thing. But thank you. Thank you for the super chat with no content. And then QWERTYZZ7 sent some leaf bucks. We tariffed some leaf bucks over. As one of the original weaponized autists, I could say the job is almost entirely volunteer. Praise Keck. Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you for the support. We got 193 still watching and only 88 likes. So please, on your way out, please hit the like button. And assuming my voice is still around here, I will be back tomorrow with another episode of the ASTROLABE. Go follow me on Twitter at RealKingPilled and go join the KingPilled Discord at kingpilled.com. And follow the Cyberbully at EWBSX Cyberbully. And more to come there soon. For now, I give you Hulk.
When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States,